What is going on, all of you amazing gamers out there in the world? I'm MegaAmpster. Thank you for checking out this YouTube video. Whether you are a new or returning viewer, thanks for taking the time to be here. So, I wanted to talk about an upcoming release just a week as of this recording that I'm very excited about. And as someone who has not played a game in this series before, I wanted to share the 5 reasons why I'm definitely excited for this game with all of you, maybe convince you to pick it up as well, or at least check out the demo that is available now, and that game is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Just a disclaimer, I am not sponsored by Ubisoft, have not played the game, I've not even played the demo. I'm just basing these points off of what I've seen from trailers, and the impressions that I have listened to and watched as well. It seems like this is going to be a great release, and so let's go over some of the reasons why, maybe you should be interested in this game too, at least to share with you what I think. So number 1 point here is the presentation of this game. While I will say it's not the most graphical, like in terms of the fidelity isn't the most, ridiculously game that's out there, it definitely could be a last generation game in terms of the graphical fidelity here, but the art style, it's just you look at the background environments, they look great. Everything looks very fluid in motion. It looks like there's going to be a lot of diverse locales that you explore as Sargon, who is the main character in this game. It's very flashy, so you'll see, especially during boss fights, there will be a lot of cinematic angles and cuts that play out. Kind of similar, I'm going to bring up this comparison a lot, I'll try not to do it too much, but kind of similar to Metroid Dread, how that had some specific cinematic angles there during boss fights and when you would counter certain moves. And it looks like that's going to be persistent in this game as well, which is going to be really cool. Very colorful. I like it's nice to see a refreshing game in terms of art style like this. Also related to the presentation, you can't really hear it here because I have the video muted. I'm playing the Sands of Time OST on the side here. The music, from what I've heard in the trailers, seems like it fits the environments really well, so great to hear that, and I can't wait to hear more of it in the full game itself. So number 1, of course, the presentation. Number 2, let's talk about the gameplay, right? Of course it's a game, got to talk about the gameplay. And this game, from what I've heard and seen, is a combination of a platformer, combat game, and also MetroidVania-like experience. And it seems like across the board, those are all going to be great. Prince of Persia is apparently known for its platforming, especially even back in the day, especially a 2D platformer. It looks like it's going to be a very smooth and tight platforming game. And from what I've heard from impressions, the combat looks like it's going to be pretty fun, and you'll kind of be able to expand your moveset as you explore the game. And exploration in particular is a lot more refined in a game like this, because from what I've heard from impressions, they don't really show it off in the trailers from what I've seen. But regarding items that you can't collect until you get an ability later, think of your classic Metroid conundrum. You see an ability that you can't quite get because you don't have the needed ability to get that ability or item or whatever it is, and you have to remember to come back to it later. This game has a feature where you can pin essentially a screenshot overlaid on the map, which makes it a lot easier to see treasure chests or other items that you are missing. So I'll be curious to see how it fully works in the game, but that already sounds like it's going to make the exploration way more and the backtracking way more accessible. So that's an awesome feature to have there. But even just everything else itself, just the gameplay looks really solid. This game is confirmed to be running on 60 frames on the Switch, which is really, really awesome to see. Apparently the Xbox version, you can unlock 120 frames, which is really, really cool. I will be getting the Switch version personally just to kind of mention that, because running it at 60 frames there, I can't wait to see how it looks in motion. Maybe a little less graphical fidelity, but like I said, this game isn't gonna be, mainly seen as that anyways, mostly the art style there. But the gameplay, it just looks really smooth. Prince of Persia is known for its time travel mechanics, so I'll be curious to see how they integrate that here. I'm sure it's going to be here as well. There's some cool abilities that Sargon, the main character here, seems to have that seem like they're going to be pretty cool for traversal and very unique to Metroidvania games, so we'll see how that turns out when the game fully releases. But number 2, of course, the gameplay across all fronts looks like it's going to be a really fun time. Number 3, and this might be a more minor point, is related to kind of the premise, the story, the characters, all of that. Really diverse cast of characters here. Sargon himself seems really unique. Great to see, more representation here, especially with the whole supporting cast as well. I want to give a minor spoiler warning if you want to go in completely blind to the story of this game. I only know a little bit. I don't know too much, but just a little warning here. All right, with that mild warning out of the way, the whole premise seems to be that as Sargon, you are a part of a group of warriors called the Immortals, and you're trying to rescue someone from within a city that is plagued by like a time curse, is how they describe it. I'll be curious to see what that curse actually entails. But the premise itself is really cool and unique. I mean, I've heard other Prince of Persia games have that time-based kind of premise and mechanics, but I'll be curious to see how it works in a Metroidvania-like game. That sounds super cool. I'm not expecting it to be anything ridiculous, but at least like the premise is very enticing, and hopefully it'll carry players through to see the story finished. And the characters seem very fun as well. Sargon himself and the supporting cast seem like they're going to be really fun to interact with. We'll see how much they are present in the game. The gameplay definitely seems to be the focus here, but you got to have an enticing narrative to some degree, right? It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but like to at least keep players going. So the premise, number 3 reason. Now, number 4 is a big one for this, and that is the legacy of not only this franchise, but the development team as well. So for the franchise, this is the first Prince of Persia game in quite a while, especially the first 2D one from what I've heard in a while. I guess the series started out in 2D roots back in like, someone can let me know the exact system in the comments below, but I believe it was back in like old PCs back in the day. I don't know if it was like MS-DOS or something like that, but I think of that era. Definitely correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on that. A lot of people have been looking forward to the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake, which Ubisoft, I think, has said it's still in development. Obviously, that's going to be a 3D Prince of Persia game, whereas this is the 2D one. But just to have this series, this legacy franchise, get another game in 2024 is going to be awesome. To have that, see that legacy continue. And especially someone who's never played Prince of Persia before, I'm jumping into this for the first time. Like, I'll be curious to see, maybe I play the other games after this if I can, if they're accessible on modern platforms. But like I mentioned, also the development team, the legacy of them is huge. The development team, if you're not aware, I mean, this is published by Ubisoft Montreal, but this is the same team that worked on Rayman Origins and Legends, the more recent Rayman games. And granted, it's been a while since we've seen Rayman, so hopefully they'll work on more Rayman later, or at least someone from Ubisoft will pick it up. But that gives me a lot more I mean, this game looks great as it is, but the fact that we know it's that development team is huge. I think it's going to show there's a lot of pedigree. So, of course, from those Rayman games, they have like mastercraft to the platforming genre. But also adding the Metroidvania and combat, I'll be curious to see how they pull that off as well, because this could be a stepping stone for that development studio. So definitely excited to check out this game. There's clearly a good pedigree behind that, and just to have a new game in that franchise. So that's the number 4 reason. Number 5, the final of many reasons. You can all have your own reasons why to buy this game, but number 5 of my reasons here is just the impressions, the reviews, because what's great about this game is that Ubisoft has been, they advertised it at Summer Games Fest last year. They've had people, they've brought in different, journalists or influencers to come in and play the game. And literally just yesterday, when this drops on YouTube, it'll be yesterday, a ton of impressions were coming out. The embargo must have lifted. Everybody was talking about their hands-on time with the game. And impressions are great. Like, some people are surprised at how good this game is, just very fluid in motion. There have been a few complaints. I know some people, I think they said, Ubisoft said it was like a 20 to 25 hour game, which is definitely long for this this genre. They tend to be a little shorter. I'm honestly fine with that as long as it's not too bloated. We will see. One other complaint I have heard is that, like, the mini-map, there's no mini-map on the HUD at all times. You have to kind of pause to open up the map, which might be a pain. But besides that, like, I haven't heard many negative things about this game, which is really cool to hear. Like, just from people who have actually played the game, they're glowing reviews about it already. So that's great to hear. Another great thing that I've heard from people, and I mean, I could tell based on the pre-order I put in, this is not a full-price game, right? This is I don't know if I'd call it budget, but it's a $50 game, on at least the Switch, and I imagine other platforms as well. You can correct me in the comments if that's wrong. But at least for the Switch, I know for sure it's $50. So, I mean, that's always great to see, especially in a world where a lot of these games from AAA studios are $70, right? To see this at a slightly discounted price, hey, that's great. But I mean, yeah, just the hands-on impressions I've heard are just phenomenal for this game. So that really, because that's the tough thing about buying a game so early, right? Is if there aren't previews, hands-on previews of these games ahead of time, it's hard to know, like, okay, how does the game actually play though? We've seen the trailers, we've heard some things, but how does it play? How does it feel from people who, you may trust their opinions on certain outlets that have played the game? And from outlets that I trust who have played this game and have had impressions, and they released their videos literally today as of this recording, seems to be really good. So that really instills a lot of confidence in me that this is going to be a really fun game. So that is the number 5 reason why, maybe you'd be interested in this game. So just to kind of recap all of the reasons here why you might be interested. Number one, the presentation in terms of art style and music looks like it's going to be really good in the different environments here. Number two, of course, the gameplay being the platforming, the combat, and the Metroidvania-like exploration looks like it's going to be really, really good. Number three, just the premise in terms of the story and the diverse cast of characters are going to be really, really cool for what we can tell from the trailers. Number four, I mean, just the legacy. This is a big one for the franchise itself and, um, just the development studio behind this game. And then number five, of course, just like the initial impressions and reviews and the hands-on time from people who have actually played the game. That's a big one, because a lot of these games I do these videos for don't have that chance for people to play them and have hands-on time and then talk about it before the game releases. So the fact that Ubisoft put this out there for people to try out and give their impressions, that's great. That shows that they have confidence in this game. And I don't know how well it's going to sell, but it just, regardless, it seems like it's going to be a quality game. So hey, maybe I convince you to buy it. But those are my 5 reasons why I personally am interested in Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, and why you might want to be as well. Let me know in the comments below, if you're planning on picking this game up, if you got a pre-order in already, or, maybe did I help convince you or did I not convince you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I will catch you all on the next video or live stream. Thank you again for watching. I'll see you later. Take care. I'm ready to jump into this franchise for the first time. I will be streaming this game at some point in the near future. Just have to wait and see. Thanks everybody for watching. Take care.